There are brands with which we grow up with. They become an important part of our childhood. So much so that they become household names and become synonymous with the products which they sell in the market. Amul, which prides itself in calling it the taste of India, is one such brand that is synonymous with India's large dairy sector. But today, with a consistent business performance over the years through its dairy and value-added dairy products, it wants to go all out in India's booming FMCG space. The man who will be at the helm of affairs of this big diversification bet is Mr. Jayen Mehta, the Managing Director of Amul. Mehta has now been associated with Amul for over 3 decades, and he sees a big opportunity for Amul to become a dairy to the world. But beyond this big diversification bet, at the heart of Amul's story are those 36 lakh farmers who own this brand Amul. We're here in Anand, Gujarat, outside the Amul dairy plant, and we will be talking to Mr. Jayen Mehta to understand Amul's renewed growth strategy as well as the success of India's cooperative societies model. Mr. Mehta, thank you so much for your time. I welcome you to BWTV. And as I mentioned, a stellar performance in FY23, 72,000 crores, a big jump compared to 61,000 crores in the previous financial years. How do you envision the growth momentum? How do you plan to sustain it, given now that you have set target of 1 lakh crore by 2025?
Thank you so much. First of all, welcome to the milk city of Anand. This is where the history of Amul started way back in 1946. And from there, we have traversed this path in which we have now reached at this particular point of time. And you're very right in saying that this is the actually inflection point in which the trajectory we intend to take, not just in dairy, but in the food business under the Amul brand is actually very, very phenomenal. And to put the things in perspective, the turnover growth of about 18.5% that we achieved this year for the unduplicated Amul brand turnover of rupees 72,000 crores, to my mind is just the beginning. The way in which the Indian market is unfolding, the way in which the Indian consumer behavior is unfolding, we see a very good opportunity in both dairy and the non-dairy, the food space that we are currently looking at.
So before we talk about the diversification and the categories it is going into, let's talk about the dairy sector. That's the core business that you're having. If you look at the numbers, it's a $110 billion market. But within that, if you look at the branded consumer milk segment, it's $30 billion. So there's still a huge potential. How do you plan to tap this potential?
This is a very interesting point because milk is a very different product and a category as you may look into it from the FMCG lens. First of all, milk is the largest agricultural crop of India. So the value of output of milk that you just mentioned is about 9 to 10 lakh crore rupees. But to simplify things, from the business perspective, I'll put it in not just the rupee part, but the volume part of it. The total milk production in India is close to 220 million metric tons. Simply put, it is about 60 crore liters a day. Of the 60 crore liters a day, 1/3 of the milk which is produced is retained by the farmer in the village and the household itself. So that takes care of the 20 crore liters, which doesn't come in the market. Of what comes in the market is close to 12 to 14 crore liters per day. And this is where the market is changing now. Amul currently handles close to 3 crore liters of milk a day, which is about 25% of the total organized sector of milk at the moment. But now the way in which the consumer behavior is shifting, assume if even 5% of Indians shift from loose and unpackaged to packaged and branded milk, it is close to 3 crore liters, which means you can add one more Amul every year in the Indian market.
Okay.
And I'm not considering the growth of about 4 to 5% in the Indian milk production, which will also add another 3 crore liter to the total market. But here itself, the shift which we were talking right now, which I mentioned a 5%, is a very conservative number. Earlier, it was less than this. But post-COVID, the Indian consumers started realizing that health is very important. And that's why in all categories, you would have seen the shift coming from loose and unbranded to packaged and branded. It's more accelerated in food. And that's where we sense an opportunity. And that is why when we talk about this number of 1 lakh crores in the next couple of years and so on, it doesn't look very, very daunting. For a simple reason that there has been a huge change in the consumer mindset, be it in milk, be it in curd, be it in paneer, be it in khoa, any of the dairy products that we consume, more and more people are moving into the packaged branded space. And that's why Amul, as the most trusted brand and the brand having the largest market share across product categories, we sense a very, very good opportunity into this.
Right. Now, if we look at the past year, the inflation has been above RBI's tolerance level, of course. That would have played on the margins, and we saw some price hikes. Are there more price hikes on cards? How has the experience been on your margins, and some for other commodities as well? What is your experience on that front? Because inflation was across commodities, be it sugar, cocoa. If you can share on that.
You are so right in talking about this, for a simple reason that inflation to the consumer always pinches everyone.
Right.
But here we have to look at compensating the producers also of the increased cost of production of milk. But before that, let's put inflation in a perspective. We did take price hikes last year, but if you take a 4-year period, because 2 years prior to the current last year were the COVID years, in which the producers were badly affected. Okay, those associated with cooperatives like us were okay because we did not stop taking milk. But since, as I mentioned, very large segment of the milk volume of the milk in India is in the unorganized sector and the less organized sector. Now, in that case, the producers suffered. They got very less price of milk, as a result of which their investment in cattle and all suffered. But more importantly, what also happened is the increase in cost of the input costs. And this is and the general inflation also put a pressure on the producers. So we had to find a way to compensate the producers.
મારું નામ રાજન છે. મારો दूध भरावतो सेकड़ी दूध मंडली नो कोड 197 है. बहुत अच्छा आर्थिक रीतना बहुत मददरूप हो रही है. यहाँ दूध भर के हमको आर्थिक बहुत मदद मिल रही है. आप 1000 लीटर लाओ या 1 लीटर लाओ, अमूल ले लेगी पूरा.
हाँ, जो दूध मंडली है उसके हिसाब से उनको जो पैसा मिलता है वो दूध यहाँ देते हैं और उसमें जो मुनाफा होता है उससे उसका जीवन बेहतर होता है जाता है. दूध के पैसे हर 10 दिन के बाद देते हैं. उसके अलावा पूरे साल में जो दूध उन्होंने डाला है, जितने पैसे का, मानो कि 1 लाख का दूध डाला है उन्हें पूरे साल में, तो उसके ऊपर 90% उनको बोनस मिलेगा. तो 19,000 रुपीज़ उनको अलग से हम पे करते हैं.
And inflation to consumer actually becomes income to the producer. Because if you spend 100 rupees on Amul products, 80 to 85 rupees goes back to the producer. So this is where the tightrope walking has to be done. We cannot say that we can have an unhappy customer. No, because our business depends on the consumers. But simultaneously, we have to also keep producers interested in this business. And that's how over a 4-year period, we took only 6 increases in price of our largest selling toned milk, which is about less than 5 to 6% of the total. So that way we have been still way below the inflation on a long-term period.
Right. If we look at some other numbers as well from the previous financial year, exports saw massive 145% of growth. Tell us about the expansion plans on the international front. What are the investments planned or you have currently made? What are the countries you're looking forward to?
Amul exports to almost 50 countries around the world. Right. Exports comes in 2 forms. One is the consumer products. The butter, cheese, ghee, shrikhand that you eat here is exported to more than 30-35 countries. And there is also commodity exports, which is skim milk powder in bulk packing, white butter in bulk packing. We are usually not competitive in the bulk space because international market is quite subsidized and the price differential is very high. We got a good opportunity to exports when India had a lot of surpluses. Amul had a lot of surpluses because of the COVID time. The markets were not as much strong, but we had to accept the milk, and as a result of which we had huge inventory with us. So we took a challenge, converted this challenge into an opportunity, created a market for the Amul commodity products and the consumer products in so many countries around the world. We are getting very good volumes about it. And now good part is the government of India through the PLI scheme also is supporting the brand building activities in the international markets. So with this, we hope to gain a stronger foothold in the international markets. We have identified the top 100 cities of the world. We are putting specific focus into developing each of these markets. And in the years to come, when India is currently producing totally about 22% of the milk in the world, in next decade is going to be more than 30%. So once India has this chance to be a dairy to the world, Amul will be a brand which will be the most global brand name which India will have in the next decade.
So you clearly elaborated the strategy for the international markets. But now let's shift our focus to the domestic market. And clearly Amul now wants to go all out in the southern region. Now, considering some of the events that happened recently, tell us at large, what is the strategy on the domestic front and especially for the southern region?
This is where naturally, obviously, Amul products and butter, cheese, ghee form are being selling for more than 5 decades there. We looked at this market from 2 points of view. A, if we are able to procure milk in the south, and B, if we are able to sell milk in the south. We are working very, very strongly in the states of Andhra Pradesh and Telangana for procuring milk. We just announced our dairy plant in Hyderabad. A 5 lakh litre dairy plant will be there, which is, we are currently anyway selling more than 3 lakh litres of milk in that region. We plan to expand that capacity. And the other states which are remaining. We've been operating in North Karnataka for more than now 7-8 years. And whatever market opportunity arises in the southern markets, because people want Amul milk. They know the Amul brand. They have been asking for Amul milk. So it's now our endeavor to make milk, pack milk closer to them and also sell milk closer to them. So I'm sure very soon you will also see the launch of Amul milk in Chennai markets.
Chennai. Okay. So clearly, you've elaborated as to what your strategy is for the southern markets. But I want to understand from you that given the recent events that happened, what does it tell you about the cooperative business, especially in the milk or the dairy space? Why is this hesitancy in a free and open market to competition? What's your view on that?
Per se, there is no such kind of hesitancy. Amul works with every single dairy cooperative in the country very, very closely.
Right.
Amul has been packing ice cream in the plants of Karnataka since last 25 years. When they had surplus milk and no market, we bought as much as 5,000 tons of cheese in the year 2021, worth more than 200 crore rupees. Right. Okay, same applies to Tamil Nadu also. Last year, when there was a shortage of fat in the country, Amul ourselves were experiencing shortage of fat. We supplied large quantity of white butter to Tamil Nadu. Kerala required milk powders, we supplied milk. So any state in the country, whenever it requires any input, any support which is technical support or a product related support, Amul is the first company they call up. And we are the first ones to respond to that. So, and point to be noted is all the dairy cooperatives of India have been born out of the Amul model. So we share a very, very close linkage and bondage with all of them.
Right. Now, Mr. Mehta, let me shift my focus to the diversification plan. And clearly you're very bullish on it. What's the code that you want to put in place when we say that Amul wants to go all out in the FMCG space? What are the categories that you're looking at? And clearly the competition mapping in terms of you have to compete with some of the biggest players. Tell us about that.
See, as I mentioned initially, this is the great inflection point for us to get into this space. And there are 2-3 reasons of this approach we have taken to diversify into a variety of spaces. The first is the shift towards organics. Okay, all consumers want to consume food which is free from chemicals, pesticides, and so on and so forth. The farmers also know that food without that is the best form of food to eat because that's how it is. There is a requirement to democratize organics. because currently consumers are paying a very, very huge premium on this. So we said that as Amul, which is a value for money brand, if we are able to get into space, and how do we do that? We are fortunate to have got an opportunity to promote a new multi-state cooperative on organics.
Okay.
The government of India, the new Ministry of Cooperation was very clear that we need to support the farmers and create a market for the consumers for the organic products. So we are one of the promoters of that new multi-state cooperative organics. We have started working with the farmer groups who are interested to shift to organics. We have set up labs to see that all the products that we today sell are free. The agriculture products that we sell are free from any chemical residue or pesticides and so on. And as a result of which, we have already launched 8 to 10. Be it products like atta or be it basmati rice or different types of pulses.
Especially the organic sector.
Organic spice,
right.
Organic products, or we shall be soon launching organic sugar, organic tea, organic jaggery. Practically every single item you consume in your kitchen will be Amul branded, either organic, dairy. We also got into oils under a Janmai brand, and we have an oil crushing plant here in North Gujarat. So we have a bouquet of products available and a back-end farmer-linked support to see that whatever you require like the dairy cooperatives, and we have 3.6 million farmers who are members. We are working with very large number of farmer groups, and you will see this unfold in a very, very short time. And the entire bouquet of items which you consume in your kitchen, in your household, will be Amul products, be it organics in the this category or the dairy range that you have got, and the edible oils and so on.
And the drinks market as well?
Of course, we are very strong in the beverage segment. Right. We have more than 120 SKUs in beverages, right from the flavored milk to the coffees and the chocolate drinks and the carbonated drinks, right, and the protein range of products. So it's a very, very strong portfolio, lassi, buttermilk, and the whole lot of stuff. Right. So this is where Amul Cool is one of the biggest brands in the beverage space and market leader in its own right. So this is also one space we are dominating. In each of the categories, we have strong expansion plans, be it milk. We have 98 dairy plants which are packing and selling milk, to the fresh products range, to this new range of protein and the probiotics and the different categories that we are working on, organics and single species based products, means cow milk based products, buffalo milk based products, camel milk based products, and so on. So it's a portfolio which is very strong, but very, very focused into different activities that we are doing. Basically, connecting the producer with the consumer and providing value for money to the consumer and value for money to the producer.
But Mr. Mehta, very clearly I want to understand from you, this is not the first time that Amul has thought of diversifying or has diversified beyond its core dairy products. You know, be it the chocolate segment in the past, some of the non-dairy drinks, some frozen items as well, but they failed to capture the market share. What was the reason? Now that we are going all out, what are some of the lessons from that, and how do you plan, to ensure that this time the market share, really Amul can capture?
It's a good point, because the reason we got into several of the product categories again was the farmer interest. Right. The cocoa bean producers in South India, South India, were exploited by the multinational chocolate companies. Right. So Amul got into this space. Camco, a cooperative of the cocoa bean producers of South India, was formed. We started buying from them. And the success is not just the sales of Amul products or the market share of Amul chocolates. It is also that because of Amul's intervention in this category, we may have a 10% market share. But the cocoa bean producers got a good price. Right. Because of the intervention by this. So this is where the overall result has to be seen, not just from the market share perspective, but from this. And today I'm happy to say that we are the largest brand of dark chocolates in India. We expanded our capacity 5 times in 2018. Today, that capacity is running 100%, and we are doubling up that capacity. And more importantly, the expertise of handling cocoa has helped us doing very well in ice creams, in beverages, and a whole lot of food categories. So this is where our core strength lies, and we want to build upon it. The beverages space, we launched Seltzer for the first time in the country, dairy-based product, milk-based product, real fruit-based product, and more importantly, a cola without caffeine or phosphoric acid. Right. So these are the concepts which we have bought in the country. They've been doing very well. Obviously, we are not directly pitching ourselves to the Cokes and Pepsis, because the products are totally different. The benefits we give to our consumers are guilt-free indulgence, and they've been catching on in a very good way. So we are growing and expanding into that space and doing this. And the frozen portfolio is concerned, the pizzas and the stuff actually helped us understand that consumers are looking for ready-to-eat stuff. And so we now have a frozen paratha also, and a French fries also, and a plant to manufacture French fries from the potato sourced from our farmers. And that plant also, which was commissioned 6 months back, is running at full capacity, and we are expanding the capacity 4 times. So all diversifications come with a learning, but more importantly, it's the farmer connect which is important to us. And if that is very strong, the results are obviously very good. And that's why I talked about the experience of farmer connect in a cocoa bean producer to a potato producer to any other thing producer is now extended to the agriculture producers, and we'll have the attas and rice and the dals and the things coming up in.
Mr. Mehta, my last question to you. Tell me, what's the ESG strategy here? Or rather, if I have to put it, the ESG story of Amul. How does it manage to stay relevant in the face of national, international competition? The sustainability aspects that you look at in the whole value chain here. Tell us about that.
I think this is a very, very important point that you have raised, because end of the day, most companies are being evaluated from this point of view. Good thing about this cooperative is we didn't have to invent the purpose. Since our inception way back in 1946, the purpose has been built in. If you look at the logo of Amul, it is a farmer-owned organization, but it's not of the farmer, for the farmer, by the farmer. There are 4 hands in the logo of Amul, the Kerala District Cooperative Union. One for the producer, one for the processor, one for the marketeer, and one for the consumers. So ever since we started, it was very, very clear that we can't be looking self-centered. We have to look at all parts and all elements of this, and that this entire supply chain and the entire purpose in the DNA of the cooperatives is very, very strongly built into our genes. Now comes the next part, in which people talk about sustainability, people talk about the environmental impact of dairying and all that. In India, we have demonstrated that cow is not a problem, cow is a solution. Okay. For a simple reason that now we have started working on what is called the circular economy. The dung of the cow is collected, it is converted into biogas. That biogas goes to light up a stove in your home, a farmer's place in a village, or also run a CNG car. Okay, so we have both these models available, and the slurry which is left behind after production of this gas is a very good biofertilizer. And that goes in the field, and it supports the farmer to do organic farming or the natural farming. So you kill so many birds with one stone. First of all, you need to import less fuel, you save foreign exchange. You import less fertilizers, you save foreign exchange. You care for the environment, and you make the planet happy. And 4th, more importantly, it's income for the producer. And 5th, to the consumer, you are supporting production of food without chemicals and pesticides. So this is where the circular economy comes in. The importance of cow in our ecosystem comes in. The cow which converts the roughages of agriculture into a value-added product called milk, which gives good protein, good fat, and good source of nutrition, also gives us dung and the urine which is used for rest of the stuff. So this is where we are working on, this is what the country is working on, and India will be a classic case to the world in which this circular economy is going to help all of us in a very, very big way.
Mr. Mehta, thank you so much for your time, for clearly elaborating as to what Amul's growth trajectory will look like, what would be the areas that will support, that will keep the growth momentum sustained, and obviously the ESG story of Amul, keeping the society at first, and obviously maintaining those sustainability aspects in the whole value chain.
I can add one more thing to this, is the great support right now, or the tailwinds to the cooperative sector. With the formation of a new Ministry of Dairying a couple of years back to the new Ministry of Cooperation, the era of cooperatives has come back into the country. Now this has been translated into multiple ways. I talk about the new multi-state cooperative on organics. There is a new multi-state cooperative on exports, which also we are promoting, and a new multi-state cooperative on seeds. So these are between the top 5-7 cooperative of the country: Amul, NDDB, IFCO, CRIPCO, NCDC, NAFED, National Consumer Forum. Between 7 of us, we are incubating and promoting these 3 new multi-state cooperatives, which will give benefit to a large number of farmers across the country, both international market access to domestic support into organics. Second, over the last 50 years of Operation Flood and the cooperative movement, out of 7 lakh villages in India, there are 2 lakh villages in India where there are dairy cooperatives. The new Ministry of Cooperation has now given a new task that we need to set up another 2 lakh cooperatives, dairy cooperatives in the balance 5 lakh villages. So you can imagine more milk coming into the organized sector, more farmers getting into the organized sector of cooperatives, and what the first initial conversation that we had on expansion of market is going to happen in a very, very big way in the next few years. So the White Revolution 2.0 is actually just begun.
Okay.
And that's going to give a big boost to it. And then the other support which is there to the cooperatives, be in terms of the support given in form of variety of policy measures to other things, will benefit a large number of farmers. The strengthening of the primary agriculture cooperative societies and the network of institutions around it will greatly benefit all the small and marginal farmers of the country. Right. Cooperatives will strongly be a very, very differentiating force for the betterment of our country. Right. And that would make India a very, very strong economy in the years to come.
Every item that we consume in our kitchen will be an Amul branded product. Well, that is how Amul MD Jayen Mehta believes as it embarks its aggressive push in India's FMCG space. Considering the categories of product, it would compete against brands like Nestle, ITC and Britannia. While Mehta may have said, for example, in the beverages segment, that it is not pitching against the colas or Pepsis of the world, but this is one space that will witness intensified competition, especially after Reliance's entry with Campa Cola. But above all of this, it is the cooperative society's model and Amul's success with it, which the government wants to replicate and truly realize its vision of Sahkar Se Samriddhi. Until next time, I'm Arjun Yadav. Keep reading and watching BW Business World.